Welcome to the Executive Order Audio Library, where we read Trump's full executive orders so you can stay informed about what they contain without spending a lot of time sitting and reading them. If you find this resource helpful, please like this video so others can find it too. To stay on top of future executive orders, please click subscribe and allow notifications so you can be alerted when new recordings are available. Today I'll be reading a hotly contested executive order. Some people say this executive order restores fairness and safety to women's sports. Others feel it unfairly targets transgender athletes. Executive Order 14201, titled Keeping Men Out of Women's Sports, forbids transgender women and girls from competing in female sports at all educational levels. It enforces Title IX by reserving women's sports for biological females as defined at birth, and threatens to revoke federal funding from schools that don't comply. Supporters argue it protects opportunities for female athletes, while critics call it discriminatory. This is a reading of Executive Order 14201, Keeping Men Out of Women's Sports. By the authority vested in me as President by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, and to protect opportunities for women and girls to compete in safe and fair sports, it is hereby ordered. Section 1. Policy and Purpose. In recent years, many educational institutions and athletic associations have allowed men to compete in women's sports. This is demeaning, unfair, and dangerous to women and girls, and denies women and girls the equal opportunity to participate and excel in competitive sports. Moreover, under Title IX of the Education Amendments Act of 1972, educational institutions receiving federal funds cannot deny women an equal opportunity to participate in sports. As some federal courts have recognized, ignoring fundamental biological truths between the two sexes deprives women and girls of meaningful access to educational facilities. Tennessee v. Cardona, 2024. See also Kansas v. U.S. Department of Education, 2024. Highlighting Congress's goals of protecting biological women in education. Therefore, it is the policy of the United States to rescind all funds from educational programs that deprive women and girls of fair athletic opportunities, which results in the endangerment, humiliation, and silencing of women and girls, and deprives them of privacy. It shall also be the policy of the United States to oppose male competitive participation in women's sports more broadly, as a matter of safety, fairness, dignity, and truth. Section 2. Definitions. The definitions in Executive Order 14168 of January 20, 2025, defending women from gender ideology extremism and restoring biological truth to the federal government, shall apply to this order. Section 3. Preserving women's sports in education. A. In furtherance of these purposes of Title IX, the Secretary of Education shall promptly 1. In coordination with the Attorney General, continue to comply with the vacatur of the rule entitled Non-Discrimination on the Basis of Sex in Education Programs or Activities Receiving Federal Financial Assistance of April 29, 2024. See Tennessee v. Cardona of 2025. And take other appropriate action to ensure this regulation does not have effect. 2. Take all appropriate action to affirmatively protect all female athletic opportunities and all female locker rooms, and thereby provide the equal opportunity guaranteed by Title IX of the Education Amendments Act of 1972, including enforcement actions described in subsection 3, to bring regulations and policy guidance into line with the Congress's existing demand for equal athletic opportunity for members of both sexes, by clearly specifying and clarifying that women's sports are reserved for women, and the resolution of pending litigation consistent with this policy. And 3. Prioritize Title IX enforcement actions against educational institutions, including athletic associations, composed of or governed by such institutions that deny female students an equal opportunity to participate in sports and athletic events by requiring them, in the women's category, to compete with or against or to appear unclothed before males. B. All executive departments and agencies shall review grants to educational programs and, where appropriate, rescind funding to programs that fail to comply with the policy established in this order. C. The Department of Justice shall provide all necessary resources in accordance with law to relevant agencies to ensure expeditious enforcement of the policy established in this order. Section 4. Preserving fairness and safety in women's sports. Many sport-specific governing bodies have no official position or requirements regarding trans-identifying athletes. Others allow men to compete in women's categories if these men reduce the testosterone in their bodies below certain levels or provide documentation of sincerely held gender identity. These policies are unfair to female athletes and do not protect female safety. To address these concerns, it is hereby ordered. A. The Assistant to the President for Domestic Policy shall, within 60 days of the date of this order, 1. Convene representatives of major athletic organizations and governing bodies and female athletes harmed by such policies to promote policies that are fair and safe in the best interest of female athletes and consistent with the requirements of Title IX as applicable, and 2. Convene state attorneys general to identify best practices in defining and enforcing equal opportunities for women to participate in sports and educate them about stories of women and girls who have been harmed by male participation in women's sports. B. The Secretary of State, including through the Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs Sports Diplomacy Division and the representative of the United States of America to the United Nations, shall 1. Rescind support for and participation in people-to-people sports exchanges or other sports programs within which the relevant female sports category is based on identity and not sex. And 2. Promote, including at the United Nations, international rules and norms governing sports competition to protect sex-based female sports category. And, at the discretion of the Secretary of State, convene international athletic organizations and governing bodies, and female athletes harmed by policies that allow male participation in women's sports, to promote sporting policies that are fair, safe, and in furtherance of the best interests of female athletes. C. The Secretary of State and the Secretary of Homeland Security shall review and adjust, as needed, policies permitting admission to the United States of males seeking to participate in women's sports, and shall issue guidance with an objective of preventing such entry to the extent permitted by law, including pursuant to Section 212A6CI of the Immigration and Nationality Act, 8 U.S.C. 1182 A6CI. D. The Secretary of State shall use all appropriate and available measures to see that the International Olympic Committee amends the standards governing Olympic sporting events to promote fairness, safety, and the best interests of female athletes by ensuring that eligibility for participation in women's sporting events is determined according to sex and not gender identity or testosterone reduction. Signed, Donald J. Trump, The White House, February 5, 2025. This concludes the reading of Executive Order 14201, Keeping Men Out of Women's Sports. To stay on top of future executive orders, please click subscribe and allow notifications so you can be alerted when new recordings are available.